Hello, and welcome to another episode of Come Sit Down, Let's Talk. I am Master Life Coach Mechelle Canady, the Chief Curator of Embrace You Training Solutions, also known as Miss Get You Together.
And don't and you do.
Listen, so once this episode go off, if you missed last week, then go back and look at last week because we've been talking with Maya J.
Yes.
And we've been talking about transitions. Maya's about to have a big transition. Maya
I'm
30.
turning 30.
So we've been talking about some transitions. We talked about relationships, friendship. We talked about transitioning from being a child to an adult. So let's talk about ministry transitions. Can I call you Pastor Maya?
Look at my face. Sure. I'll walk in and I accept it. Yes.
Tell us about Pastor Maya.
Oh. I'm still uncomfortable with that for several reasons, but I'm gonna accept it today. That's a transition. Just accepting the call has been a big deal. Really embracing that God truly has gifted me in that way, like that is a mantle that He has anointed me with and graced me with to lead and to minister to others. Woo! It's been a while accepting it, but again, I'm finally able to embrace it. But it's just taking a minute. It's taking a minute.
I know.
It's just.
But what transitioned you to the point of accepting?
That I was already doing it. Like, I really did have to understand that you already are walking in this place. You just have been having let me circle back. I think what really allowed for me to accept it is when I started accepting myself. Like, I started accepting who I was, because what I noticed about myself is that I didn't want to accept it, or I was hesitant about it because I was so busy comparing myself to others. So I was feeling like I can't be a pastor or a leader in that way because I don't act like this person. I don't speak like this person. I don't have this person's experience. So in so many different spaces, I was questioning if it was a call in the first place. But when I started accepting who I was and understanding my identity in Christ, that's when I was able to say this is another aspect of who God is leading me to be. But it was a long time coming. It was a long time coming, and I think I just had to experience things, right? Like, I had to experience serving in ministry. I had to experience what it was like to lead in the youth space. So I first started teaching back when I just came home from school, and I was teaching middle and high school kids. So that was an eye-opener for me to even begin to see myself in that light. So I had to go into that. And then from there, I had to go up under a leadership where I learned like the administrative side of things, and just know what it feels like to have to serve a pastor, serve a congregation, like just really have your eyes open to everything that comes with the church, which was pretty ugly at times. But I had to just go through all of these different stages. I just had to experience it to know that it was realistic for me, and the way God did it was just over seasons. It wasn't just, I think I'm struggling with that question because it just wasn't like a one-time thing. It was just, so it was over years that this happened, because I just finished a pastoral internship last summer, so to get to that point was a lot.
So tell us about the transition as the intern pastor.
Ooh, honestly, I was a lot more confident and comfortable than I thought I was going to be. In my internship, I really just, the pastor, thankfully, that was I was up under was very loving and very gracious and just a beautiful spirit. So I think, honestly, she made it easy for me because from her, I learned that I could be my authentic self and that was what was my power. Like that was like my uniqueness was how God he wanted me to be just me, and that was going to be what allowed for me to lead in the way that he was calling me to lead. And because she gave me clearance to be me, that shifted everything. So I thought I was going to be so difficult and so challenging, but she just kind of let me be free, and that was a big deal. So like when it came to me writing sermons and that was interesting. When it came to me writing sermons, she always encouraged me to just be in a space where you're constantly hearing from God, you're constantly reading, you're constantly meditating or what have you, so that you have that sermon in your back pocket. So I thought like the sermons were going to be challenging. I thought like the building relationships with people and learning to help them with what they were struggling with or dealing with was going to be hard and challenging. But again, I realized that I already was doing it. So it was really just me accepting me and walking in my authenticity that helped me to transition into the internship and then now to whatever it is that God is going to do with me being a pastor or minister.
I know for me, when I was accepting the call, it was difficult for me because I'm like, okay, so I know who Coach is.
Yeah.
Like, I know who Miss Get You Together is. Like, I know who Mechelle is. I know who Shell is. But who in the world is Pastor Mechelle?
Because when you put that title in front of it, it do something.
It's me thinking, oh, so I'm finna have to go back and get these Church of God of Christ hats and these suits. I'm like, I ain't even built like that no more.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so I'm like, what do I, and me being a fashion person, what do I wear as a pastor?
Yeah.
I'm like, I ain't got nothing pastoral in my closet. I'm like, I'm not gonna be in them robes.
And not with that hat on that's up this feet high. No ma'am, no sir.
And I remember hearing the Spirit say, do you in this?
Yeah.
And that's what gave me the clearance to say, oh, you just gonna get what you get because this is who I am.
Pretty much.
I mean, and if this isn't okay, I'm not your pastor.
And being okay with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that helped, that eased the struggle. And then I think the second thing was I knew he wasn't calling me to church as usual.
I feel that personally. Yeah.
So that was the more difficult part because it was putting away all of the past, what I knew of church. And the Lord even had us out of church for a year.
I can feel that.
And he showed me how even the children of Israel, like the purpose of the wilderness was to rid them of Egypt.
Yes.
And too often we don't go through the transition of ridding ourselves from the past season.
Yeah, you're in my business. Keep going.
So I was like, so what am I even supposed to do?
So can I talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
So I am now in that space, I would say, where I've transitioned out of my internship. I've transitioned out of that church because I'm out of obedience to Christ, of course. But it's like God really was very clear with me that what I'm calling you to do is something new. It has not been done, or it's not being done by the masses, and that's why that's why I've had to go through the transitions I've had to go through this year, and the rapid pace that I have had to go through it, because it's literally something that, and I'm saying this from faith, not, I've seen it in glimpses, right? but I know that what God is leading me to lead or to pass, whatever the word you want to use, it's beyond our scope of church. And for that reason, like, I'm grateful for the experiences that I have had in various churches and various denominations. But I truly do believe that God is doing something new. And he had to do something new within me so that I can be a conduit to do something new for the kingdom. And I just feel like what you said just really resonates with me in terms of the people of Israel. Like, they literally had, Egypt was no more. Like, there's no back to go back to.
Yep.
And that's just where I am. Like, he trying to refine. And I'm also not in a space where I am continuously going to church, which is very different from me.
Yes.
Like, everybody know on Sunday, where am I at church? And it's been uncomfortable for me to, like, kind of just sit at home on Sundays. And it's not that I'm not doing anything, but he just don't want me to be in that mix no more, because it's something, you know what I'm saying? It's like he don't want you to get attached to that.
I understand.
Yeah, I can't really put it into words, but I feel like I'm like on this extended sabbatical.
Right.
So people be asking me like, what church you go to? And I just be like, honestly, I'm not really going to church right now. Like,
and it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's hard to
people.
explain. They like, so are you giving up on the church or anything like that? And I'm like, no, the church is very much so within me and within us, and that's one thing that God is showing me. And then also, it's like, I noticed that we have church wherever we are.
Yep.
Where 2 or 3 are gathered, we could be in this studio and we are having church.
We have church.
Studio. I mean, yes, like, y'all have like the church, but it's like, even think about our conversations that we have. That is church, and I just feel like we've lost touch of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, now God is like, yeah, trust me, we doing something new. Sit down. It's okay. Get that religious spirit out you.
When I say, I would wake up and I would be like, okay,
What
so
I do?
what? He said I made the Sabbath for rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that look like?
The fact that we gotta ask that.
Yep. So me and Cedric began to really embrace it. And as we were embracing it, it was as if we were shedding. And there were struggles because we've always been in church all of our lives. So getting to a point that we are like, okay, so what does that look like? And it's like, even when he said, okay, do Bible study, I'm like, what does that look like? Even for the past year and a half, he's had me teach kingdom-driven messages.
Yeah.
Teach it according to the kingdom. Teach it according to the kingdom. And I'm like, what? But at this moment, I'm so comfortable. So when the Lord released us to start doing stuff on Sunday morning, he said, call it Kingdom Experience.
Yeah.
And so then he said, first, second, and third Sunday, still be virtual.
Yeah.
He said, fourth Sunday, I want you to go fellowship.
Yes.
Like, what does that look
like? We ain't got no fellowship hall. We ain't got the wood on the wall.
Look, he just told me yesterday, he said, you know why I haven't given you a building? I'm like, yeah. He said, because I don't want you stuck in the building.
Yes. That's a message in itself.
In itself.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that was hard. We're going to transition again.
Okay.
So, I thought about the scripture that says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, you know, I did childish things, but as I became adult, I put away childish things.
Yeah.
So, thinking on the line of the transition of putting away, what are some things you found that you have had to put away?
A lot. Everything. Everything. I had to put away the old mindsets that I had about me, about God, about relationships, about friends. about pretty much everything. I feel like every transition has been a process of unlearning. I have had to unlearn so many different things that were really not supposed to be a part of me in the first place. But a lot of my putting away has been putting away mindsets, and a lot of them mindsets about myself. I really realized that in so many different places, it wasn't everybody else that was the issue or the problem. It was me. It was how I looked at myself, how I saw myself, and ultimately because of that, I carried myself a certain way that was just not the woman you see today. And I said woman, I ain't said girl. I said the woman, yeah. But I really had to put away the mindsets, like the fact that I'm not alone, the fact that I am worthy, the fact that I am called, that I am chosen, that I am beautiful. Something as simple as that. So many times ever since I was little, people would be like, you so pretty, you so beautiful, you so this and you so that. And I ain't believe them. But actually, like, learning to, again, embrace all of me and accept all of me has been a big deal. So all them old mindsets of just thinking that I was this and thinking that I was that, I had to put them away. I had to, dig a big old hole and throw them things into. And it's a process. I'm ever evolving, ever changing. So day to day, I have to intentionally give them things over. But that's the biggest thing, is like having to put the mindset away.
So, what are some other transitions you found that you've been making lately?
So, I haven't talked about it yet on a large scale, but I think that this is a good time to talk about it. I've transitioned out of an organization that I supposedly had made a lifetime commitment to. That is a big transition. So in the Black community, we really value divine non-organizations. And in 2014, I had a dream that I was going to go to college and I was going to pledge, and I did it. I became a Delta. And as early as recent as this May, I denounced my letters. I said, you know what, this is not of God. This is not for me, because I said that I am for God, and that has been a very big transition. That has been a very big transition, because, again, if anybody knows, like, when you're in a divine now organization, like, this is supposed to be life. These sisters, these relationships are supposed to be life, but I had to make a decision, again, out of obedience, that that's not where God is calling me to. Wow. So that's been a really big deal that I have not talked about. I've been real quiet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Transitioning in the workplace. What has that looked like for you?
Transitioning into the workplace?
In work.
Oh, I had a lot of transitions in work too. A lot of it comes, like, it's gonna always go back to me transitioning internally, because, baby, I'm a community organizer and I love what I do. I love working with my community. I get to work with underserved communities each and every day, and I'm from the hood. Like, I used to say that real shy and timid, but now I say it proud. So when I first started my job, we always talk, I shrunk I was, even on my really small, I made myself smaller. I used to be at work at the table that I prayed for, at the table that I always wanted and desired, like I dreamed about. Child, being this big. This how I used to be at work.
Wow.
When I first started, I was just like this. And now, oh, you can't tell me nothing. What you mean? I'm taking over. I'm bold, I'm courageous. But when I first started with the job that I have right now, and even the jobs that I had when I first got out of college, I just wasn't that girl. Okay. I came in and I was just so defeated. I was so offended with criticism and correction. And when people would speak to me and they were just short with me or what have you, I took it so personal. It was a lot. And it was a lot, I would say, too, because I always was the youngest. And I was always I saw myself as the little black girl, but I'm not a little black girl no more. But I carried myself like a little black girl at work for me, I work with predominantly white individuals that were older than me, but I had an inferiority complex. I had imposter syndrome, all of those different things at work. But now I go in there, hey y'all, country is day. What we doing today? Okay, I got that. What y'all want me to do? And now because of that, what I love to see and I'm so appreciative of is my coworkers, because your coworkers don't have to encourage you. They don't have to love on you. They're your coworkers. The fact that now they're like, you different, Maya. It's something about you that you carrying yourself with so much more boldness, with so much more confident, and they're excited for me. They're like, girl, you finna take over now. Like, they done gave you this new space to shine, and I need you to shine. And that's just not how it was in the beginning with the workforce. I was little Maya, and I stayed in my place.
So would you say that when you began to see you differently, others began to see you differently?
Yes, to a certain extent, but I also think I was really privileged in a way that those who were around me saw something within me that I could not see within myself. So let's go back to the very beginning of our conversation. You said you came to me and was like, would you like to do X, Y, and Z or what have you? And you were patient with me because you knew that I was one of your assignments. And I think again, when it comes to certain things like that, you saw something in me that I did not see at all. And that has been the story of my life. I've always been fortunate enough to have people that see something in me that I cannot see within myself. And because of their love and because of their obedience to Christ, they push this out of me. They push this. I didn't do this by myself. You all push this out of me. Even when I think about, because we're in Bracy Studios with the Bracy's, when they first asked me to be the brand ambassador, I was like, who? Who? I ain't that cute. Again, they'll tell you. Like, I just had a rebuttal for everything. But they helped me so much to just get out of my shell and to just be that girl. Because I'm very much so that girl.
Listen, those pictures.
That girl. And that's on period. But they will tell you that it's been a process and it's still a process. But they saw something in me that I did not see within myself.
So the Lord has positioned people to help you transition.
Yes. I'm so appreciative of him for that. Like, he put people all around. Like, when I really sit and reflect, because like we talked about, this big thing is I'm turning 30 and I've been in a very reflective space lately. When I really think about it, I think the way I position my mind to think is that God loves me so much that he put all these people around me to make sure that I am exactly who he called me to be. Like, it made me feel real special to know that my daddy really cared about me like that. That he was intentional, that he was like, oh, you're going to need Miss Mechelle. You're going to need Shakisha. You're going to need Bracy. You're going to, you know what I'm saying? All these different people, you're going to need them. And it's going to be a part of your story. So, yeah.
I'm honored to be a part of your story.
That made me cry.
Even though you rejected me.
I didn't know.
I know.
I'm glad you was patient with me and that you wasn't offended by it.
I'll wait my turn.
Okay.
Listen, the old folks used to say, see, I'll slow walk you down.
Oh, that's so old.
It
You're
is.
not even old if you said that.
You wait, have a few more birthdays. You'll start saying old people stuff.
I know, I can see it.
I'm almost 50.
No, okay, Miss Mechelle.
Yeah.
Fine, okay.
Come on. So this has been another episode of Come Sit Down, Let's Talk, Real Talk segment.
Oh, we was real talking.
I
Okay?
think we done started something.
Yeah, yeah.
Real talk.
They ain't gonna be ready.
They not.
But
They
you
not.
got it.
And you can always catch our episodes also on the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Miss Get You Together. So we are signing off. Thank you for joining. See you again next week. Same time, same bat channel.
Bye, y'all.